travelers in our Art World Odyssey. It's James Kalm, your half-assed reporter. And we are back on the Lower East Side. Whoa. We're gonna run into Freight+Volume and look at a show by James Hyde titled West. And I'm hoping we're going to be able to snag James. Okay, well here's James. I'm going to run around and make a quick kind of a sweep of the installation here. I came in for the opening, but the place was so packed and everybody was yammering. I decided we better to come back and maybe get James for a little one-on-one. Okay, time for the attack.
All right.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
The title of the show is West. Let's start out. Tell us a little bit about the title.
Well, these are all paintings over photographs that were taken in the western United States.
And is the West significant? Are you from the West?
Oh no, I'm not. I'm very much a northeastern Yankee.
Okay, we know what that means. Well then, why did you could have gone out and taken pictures of the Adirondacks or the coast of Maine or the Berkshires. What made you decide on going out west? And is most of this California? Is that where it's at, or?
There's Los Alamos.
Los Alamos, okay.
And the observatory works are McDonald Observatory from near Marco.
Okay. Does this piece have a title?
Yes, that one is Wired.
Wired. And this is, it's got to be, what, about 7 by 5 feet, something like that? Is that?
That's it.
Well, one of the reasons that I was interested in coming in and talking to you about the work is your use of photography, and I guess this is a digital print. Is that what this is?
Yeah, this is a photograph that I took myself from along the route to facing Los Angeles. It's actually not one photograph, but it's composed. This photograph is probably composed of.
So you had to tile a bunch
70
of
70 or 80 pictures.
Oh boy. Now, I think I may have even covered a show that you did maybe 7 or 8 or 9 years ago at the Boiler.
Yes, the Stuart Davis group.
Where you were doing Stuart Davis, that's right. And you were also using digital photography for that. And I guess maybe the question I wanted to talk about was where do you see painting and this kind of photography fitting together? You know, the whole technology with the digital prints and large-scale photography. How does that kind of mix in with the painting practice? We're going to look at this piece here too, which has also got a little strip of a photograph at the bottom.
Well, it's a continuous photograph, and then there's painting on top.
Right.
Well, I think my work has always been based on questions. And
Questions.
I think that would.
We haven't gotten to the answer part yet, huh?
Well, I think what a good question produces more good questions, and
all right,
that's good for working in the studio.
That's right, and the answers just seem to be drifting out there a little bit beyond your grasp, but that's good because you build your muscles up by trying to stretch out there. Let's keep moving through the show. I wanted to maybe get in and put a little more focus on how you kind of look at the photography. The other thing I noticed is that some of the photographs are black and white, or they've been color shifted down to where they're very, very much towards the gray tone, and some of them are color photos. Does that make a difference for you?
Yeah, I think it's a possibility of photography to be black and white, so it becomes an interesting thing to do, and it changes the color of that I put on top of them. It makes for an additional problem or an additional possibility for the painting.
The other thing I was going to say is that a lot of these pieces have a very, what I would call formalistic, abstract quality to them. You want to maybe talk about your relationship with kind of reductive, maybe even minimal abstract painting? You know, a lot of them have just got the circles or the bars or very simple geometric forms on there, flat colors.
Well, these are abstract paintings, but I don't know if they're stylistically all that abstract. In a way, I mean, they're not oil on canvas.
What are you painting with? Is that acrylic or?
Yeah, it's a home brewed.
Home brewed. Okay.
And yeah, I mean, all these shapes are really generic geometry. They're nothing that really kind of fits into a history. Like, it's not quoting this artist or that artist. They're just simply geometric possibilities. So it takes on a type of structural abstraction.
Okay. I think in the last week or so, we went up and at least the viewers, took a look at a Wade Guyton show, you know, and he's using a lot of images from a huge printer that he uses. And there are other artists, maybe John Baldessari comes to mind. How do you see your work in relationship to these people like the other artists that are dealing with that kind of the crossover between photography, maybe printing technology, and classic abstract painting?
Well, I think we're at an interesting point with painting, and today paintings are always already photographed, so that
or videoed
or video, yeah, which is part of the photographic
yes, it is
meme. But with photography is now not something that's apart from painting. I think it's deeply embedded in
you think so?
How we look at painting and how we think about painting.
Okay.
I mean, there are people who will be seeing this interview who won't see the paintings and will feel like they've seen the paintings. So we have, I think, photographs have become this type of substitute for actual looking at things.
Yeah, I think there was a French cultural historian, Pierre Michoud, one of these guys that came up with the idea of the photographic museum, or the museum of everything, which everything was just reduced to photography, and I guess in a certain way that kind of played into the idea that the deconstructivists had, and then we've got the whole question of the pictures generation. Do you see yourself as maybe extending the history of the kind of the pictures generation ideas?
You know, I haven't thought about that, because I really think of these things as I mean, just dealing with abstract painting and a type of criticism of my own abstract painting, where I felt that it was becoming divorced from the world. And with these, I'm trying to allow the world to participate with abstract painting. And it's, I mean, there's I think, inherent criticism of photography as well, because painting is such a visual, muscular activity. So that in this, with these works, I hope you see the photographs as objects as much as the geometric shapes as pictures.
Okay, let's keep moving in here. We'll come and look around at some of the other pieces. So you have your digital prints, and then you mount them on the linen, and then you add your painting on here. So tell me about the printing process. How do you have somebody that does the prints for you, or do you have access to some kind of large printer that you're using for the photographic work?
I have a printer in my studio, and they're
Really? So you
printed-
print these yourself?
These are all printed in-house
Okay.
because it's a lot cheaper.
Yes.
It's good to have the printer in the studio because there's more interaction. Part of the studio process is following mistakes.
That's
and
right.
errors.
The work of the work.
And this piece here was a test, and this is the same image overlaid twice. So there's this intersection of print over print.
Overlapped printing.
And that's a pretty neat thing. And there's been a lot of the smaller pieces are outtakes from larger work that the print was not quite right, the color was off.
Right.
But that also gives a whole different opportunity to tweak the colors in relationship to the colors that are off in the photograph.
No, that's probably one of the things that attracts me to the digital printing. It's not the perfect, wonderful prints. It's kind of where things go wrong, where there's the little boogers on the edges and stuff. How big is your printer? How wide of a piece of paper can you run through it?
It's an Epson 44 inch. So if you look, there's nothing that is larger than 44 inches in two directions.
Okay.
It's not
All right. Tell me about this little guy.
Well, there's decor in the gallery.
Okay, yeah, okay, now I see it. Yeah, okay, so these are glass, is that what this is?
Yeah, that's hand-blown glass.
Did you make those, or did you have those made, or?
I worked with a friend, and we blew them at Urban Glass.
You blew them where?
At Urban Glass.
Okay. Let's talk about this piece. Okay. It's a reservoir somewhere out west.
Yeah, that's Pyramid Lake.
Okay, another one of the things that you're dealing with are kind of the repeated images, and this one you've got kind of the reversed images going on. Is that part of one of the things that attracts you to the photography, that you're able to do things like flipping and reversing? And do you do a lot of Photoshop on the photos? I mean, you talked about tiling some of these together. Do you do other things as well?
I try to make them look as natural as possible, which is of course a contradiction, but it's very close to what these are as photographs, because there is no natural photograph. You have to continually adjust the perspective in order to make it look normal, because when you tile work together, there's no stable singular picture. There's no overall lens.
So there's always,
in the world.
right?
So you're always organizing.
And there's going to be a little bit of distortion and stretching from the image and things like that. And you get in there on your Photoshop program and like get down to like modulating the little pixels so that you dissolve or you erase all the seams and everything as well. So
that has to be done.
That takes a lot of time, right?
It takes a lot of time. These are enormous files, and they require hours and hours of work getting the little glitches out. And there are still glitches that I come across every once in a while that I missed first time around.
Yeah.
But in certain ways, I think that maybe the glitches, not that they're that apparent, but they kind of emphasize the fact that these aren't just huge, giant one-shot photos, that there are things going on, that there is, despite the fact that it's kind of done mostly mechanically, that there is You know, some funky human being back there making mistakes somewhere in the process?
Well, with all technology, there's a funky human being behind
We
there
hope.
making mistakes.
We hope.
But I try to make the photographs look really good and make them make sense as photographs. I'm not trying to do anything fancy with the pictures. I'm just trying to make them very good and very detailed.
Do you ever just do straight photographs that you don't alter with paint, that you feel like the photograph itself can stand on its own?
Sure. And I enjoy an Instagram feed as well.
You enjoy what?
I enjoy having an Instagram feed.
Instagram, okay.
Which is, photography without the paper.
Great. We're going to wrap up looking at this wall of smaller pieces. Now, see, like a piece like this, that could be very easily mistaken as just a painting. I mean, I don't know what that is, some kind of part of a cloud, or it could be a foggy waterfront or something, but it looks like it could just be a straight painting, this one as well.
Yeah, it's the sky. Maybe the sky is kind of like a painting because it's all like humidity and it's just the it's just the wind in the air creating a visual sight.
Well, you must know that Alfred Stieglitz maybe was historically regarded as one of the first people that tried to do abstract photography, and he had a whole series, I think back in the teens or 20s, that were just his pictures of clouds. You know, I'm also looking at some of these smaller pieces, and you can, especially in these painted sections, that you can see that you've obviously left, you know, brush strokes, visible brush strokes. I don't know, do you sand these as well?
Mostly not. If I have to, if
Because-
there's something wrong, I'll fix it.
Right.
But I like, these are paintings. I like the trace of the hand. These are not, I'm not trying to make these flat geometric shapes. They're hand painted, and I don't use any tape on these. These are all done freehand.
And this is all using your home brewed acrylic mix?
Yep. It's with we have lots of ground glass and
Ground glass. And how about, we saw the blown glass things, you've got a couple of pieces that also have these things kind of sticking out, your 2x4s. Is that something interesting for you to have things sticking out into three-dimensional space?
Well, you know, I think sometimes the painting just needs a 2x4.
Yeah, I know some people I could apply that same thing to. Okay.
And I mean, one of the things that I wanted to do with this show is the gallery here is very much not a white cube. There's lots of architectural noise. So I felt it was like a really interesting opportunity to treat the gallery as a type of landscape. And while all these pieces are abstract, they involve observing the world through photography. But what I wanted to do with the show is to bring those principles of observation to the landscape of the gallery. So there are things to see here that are more obvious or more surreptitious, depending.
Okay, well, thanks for taking the time to talk to us, James. I think we'll wrap up here now. The title of the show is West, right?
Yep.
Here at Freight+Volume. James Hyde.
Western painting at Freight+Volume.
Western painting. Okay, so you can like this, you can subscribe, you can share it. You can leave your thoughts, suggestions, reviews, critiques, all those things below. But we always ask that you help me with this. Thank you, Kate. Whoa. Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you.